Welcome to the HiRSE-Seminar series on research software engineering in Helmholtz and beyond.
Welcome. I just wanted to take the time today to talk to you guys about growing communities into ecosystems. And therefore, I slightly changed and modified the title of my talk. And the idea for today was to give you a 15, maybe 20-minute introduction of the perspective that I had as serving as the project lead for a research software. And after that, I would very much like to invite you to ask questions, to talk, to share your vision, to share your perspective on that, and really have a very interactive session. So it's really not about selling anything. It's not about going through the slides quickly. It's really about interacting with you guys. So yes, perfect. So let's get started. Usually when people talk about open collaborations with you, they probably try to convince you to open source your software code. And this is not something that I want to do in this talk. So I assume that you guys are either on the open source bandwagon already, or you probably never will. I will rather focus on everything that comes after open sourcing your software, everything that's related to community building, essentially. So yes, I'm from the German Aerospace Center based in Berlin. You guys have probably heard about the DLR. They have different research fields, research areas. You can see those on the right-hand side. I'm from the transport area. So we do ground-based transport, everything that has to do with making traffic systems more friendly, more climate friendly, better for people and everything. We will see that later on. But at the beginning, hopefully, I want to like pick up where you are at the moment. So when I've seen at the beginning all the nice presentations of the research software, then I think you probably are at some point on GitHub, probably with your research software. Your source code is publicly available. And some people say, yes, job well done, let's stop there. When we started there, for me, I tried to put the feeling into an image, and it felt to me like that. Like you're sitting there connected to the internet, you're selling something, you're really alone, and there's barely people stopping by. And you do your job, you try to advertise, and every once in a while someone leaves a star at GitHub, and your community kind of grows. And it is nice, but then, well, if all goes well, and I think it can go well, it quickly feels like that. You have suddenly, and I can really talk out of experience here. Suddenly you have people asking, yes, why is my software not running on the latest macOS? You have some guy in China saying, yes, I have trouble running this on my Windows 95 machine. You have people in India asking you for consultancy and training. And you have absolute love for your open source code. So you do your very best to support all your users. And yes, and you try to do this, and people are coming and they're asking for stuff. And we really had this. We had like people from the United States, we had people from India, from China, and we were really struggling hard to actually do stuff. We were really struggling hard to provide the necessary means of support for those. And people with open source software, they really have this feel of responsibility for their code, the code that they put out there. And they really feel that they should that the code should work, and that everyone should benefit from this. But there's really a lack of funding. It's really not easy to determine a way to get funding. Because you need like funding to host infrastructure, funding for your own time that you dedicate to do this. This is really like an open question. You would love to have contributions from users. You would love to share the burden of developing and testing your software on multiple shoulders. But this is also tricky because users, sometimes they don't trust you. They don't know like what's going to happen with the contribution that they're adding. Is this going to be sold? Is this sustainable actually? Is this model of development sustainable? What's going to happen in the long run? So your community grows, and there's significant demand that it's not easy to satisfy quickly. So when you look at funding, you say, okay, absolutely, I need to talk to the industry to get the funding, right? They need to give money, give funding, absolutely. And when you talk to the industry, things get really dicey. Suddenly you talk to the legal department and they ask you about license management. What kind of open source license are you using? Can you actually name all the libraries and their licenses that are being bundled in your project? Is there any quality assurance that you can provide that your software is going to work properly? Especially when you try to do something for the automotive domain. This is really an issue there. Suddenly you also stumble onto legal issues. Legal issues like the Cyber Resiliency Act that some of you probably heard in the last month. When you put software out there and you put it to a market, then you suddenly become responsible to provide security fixes for the next couple of years. Can you actually do this? And finally, if an industry, if a company is going to base a business decision on your product, on your software, if they decide to actually include your software in their product, they're probably going to ask you hard questions about the long-term vision. Is it going to be available for the next years to come? And we had a lot of famous open source products that were out there where they had their rec pulled and suddenly became something totally different with a different license. So people kind of ask, what are your plans? And is your model of building your software, is it actually sustainable? So once again, we have the question of trust. Of course, you can say it at this point, this is great, the community is growing, and this is all I ever actually wanted to, right? And you feel happy, but this is not a sustainable model. This is not something that you can actually keep up for the next years. So staying in these AI-generated images, what we actually want to have is something more like this, where we actually share the burden of getting fish, selling fish. So we have bankers here, we have people who are transporting fish, we have people giving credit, we have people that are basically helping out in a network. So I would call this an ecosystem. And an ecosystem is different to a community. And if I want you to take only one thing away from this talk, then that a community is not enough. A community, loosely defined, is a group of people that share a common interest. And of course, they exchange ideas, they support each other. Yeah, but it's only a loose bound, essentially. An ecosystem, on the other hand, can be rather understood as a network of actors, of a group of people that are acting as producers of code, consumers of code, service providers that are adding things. And these actors are essentially in a mutual dependence because they create value. And this creation of value forms a stronger bound within your ecosystem. And is exactly this dependence of this network of actors that is giving your community, making it an ecosystem, but that is giving it sustainability. So you have producers, you have consumers, and of course, you also need rules. Like the ecosystem cannot exist without a transparent set of rules that everyone who is acting within that space that is going to adhere to. So you need more than just people looking at your software and liking it. You need people who are actually really creating value with it. And once you have these value chains within your community, once you have those, then you get to the point of sustainability for a long-term vision, and also scalability, because you're no longer the only service provider. So when you look at it, what does an ecosystem actually need? To do this, you really need a level playing field. Like for everyone, the playing field that they are acting in, it needs to be level. It cannot be skewed. No one can have like an unfair advantage. It needs to be fair. There need to be rules that everyone adheres to. It needs to be possibly transparent. Then, of course, you need the actors. You need people who are willing to create value, and other people or actors who would be willing to consume this value and actually turn it into products. But in order to do this, you also need business models, because it is really difficult to create value without some form of business model. If there is no business model, there is no funding. If there is no funding, there is only limited value. So these are three cornerstones that are really hard to develop, and it takes time, absolutely. But those are absolutely vital to turn your community, like your loosely knitted community, into an ecosystem. And when we look at it, well, the Eclipse Foundation is an open source nonprofit foundation that provides exactly that space, that level playing field. To give you a starting point for your ecosystem development, but getting people, getting actors, and getting to viable business models, this is actually not being solved by Eclipse. This is really up to you, basically. And we did this. This is exactly what we did. So I would now switch over to what we've been doing. So we have been working on a traffic simulator. And with this traffic simulator, we call it SUMO, and it's probably one of the most popular open source projects from the DLR. We've been doing that. Next year is our 25th anniversary. And just to give you a feel for it, this is how SUMO actually looks. This is a city of Braunschweig, and you can see all the traffic in this city. You can zoom in. Every car is their own agent, and I think you can even move a little bit further, and then you can actually move all the different vehicles. This is really what we've been doing. It's really a niche software. There is, of course, some demand for traffic simulation, but to be honest, it's a niche software. It's not something that probably more than 50,000 people on the whole world actually use or need. So our history started in 2001 And we started probably as everyone back then with a SourceForge Subversion repository. We use GPL, and I think the idea is really that every user kind of knew that SUMO is owned by DLR. It is really like the image that I showed at the beginning. We were really sitting on top of our repository. And somehow the growth of the community was really slow. Of course, it's also depending on being a niche software, absolutely. But then we changed. We joined as the DLR. We joined the Eclipse Foundation, and we basically created a project under the umbrella of the Eclipse Foundation. And we are now no longer the owner of SUMO. We're a contributor to SUMO. So there could also be other contributors in India, in China. And there are other users that could use SUMO, that could consume our services. So really the story for the community changed significantly, because SUMO now being a product and project of the foundation, there's no way that the DLR can actually at one point in the future just easily say, okay, we're gonna stop here, we're no longer doing a SUMO, and then basically everyone is left on their own. It's a non-profit foundation that's there for the long run. When you go there, you basically can see what's happening there. The Eclipse offers essentially a European infrastructure and governance. European, I think, is an important part, because there are, of course, other foundations, and you're welcome to join them as well. Some open source projects even start up their own foundations. But I think due to the geopolitical situation that we're currently in, having a European infrastructure is really something that is important. And on the other hand, Eclipse also offers governance models. So it offers the procedures, the set of standards, the set of rules that define your level playing field. And since it's been around for significantly longer than SUMO has been, it's now very trustworthy, and it's very industry friendly. And therefore you have a playing field for your research software that is well suited to actually talk to partners from the industry and acquire funding. And this is really essential, I would argue. Eclipse basically offers you two kinds of entities to organize your work. Everything that is code related is being done in projects. Everything that is not code related is being done as part of working groups. And for instance, just to give you an example, SUMO is essentially an open source Eclipse project. This is a SUMO, and it comes with a GitHub repository. So for the developers, it doesn't actually change much. It's still your repository, but you have the Eclipse project management handbook that kind of defines the way that this community or ecosystem is structured. And on the other hand, you have working groups. And working groups kind of govern, influence, steer, affect. You can find several different words that describes this relationship. It's rather loose, but it's trying to give a direction and possibly collect joint funding for the development of projects. And we did this as well. We created the Open Mobility Working Group, and we have several members. And the idea for us was really to have a regular roundtable of people, of our key users from the industry to talk to give them a chance to actually affect or influence the direction that the SUMO project is taking. It also gives us the opportunity to collect funding from different partners, puts them in a shared budget, and use this budget to develop features, for instance. So we have these kinds of different entities, projects, and working groups to actually do stuff. And I think Eclipse is not the only foundation that you can use. There's also Apache, there's Linux Foundation. It doesn't really, they don't differ a lot with respect to what they bring to the table for your open source project. But the idea to create this level playing field for everyone, I think this is really the essential part that I would like you to take home. So if you want to grow your community, don't just think about attracting more users. Think about these value chains, because this is really what's keeping users in your community in the long run. All right, I babbled on for 25 minutes. Ooh, I'm really sorry. This is a point where we will stop with the presentation, and I would like to invite you to ask questions, to share feedback, to, I don't know, what's on your mind.
Thank you for watching our seminar. Please check out the slides on Zenodo linked below and see you next time.